Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you are returning, thank you as always for being here. Stay tuned in a little bit and I'll share where I am and why I'm there. But today is the minis challenge and I am super excited. There's a whole playlist, more about that in a little bit as well. But for right now, let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting. Go ahead. I've got a little friend here.
DIY number one. All right, I have these mushrooms from the Dollar Tree, from the wood pile thing from Hobby Lobby. I have those little wood thingies, and as the mushrooms go flying, I also have some reindeer moss over there. It ended up not being enough, so I'm going to be pulling out some Spanish moss as well. But for right now, these just felt like dusty or grimy to me, so I felt the need to wipe them down. This is just a baby wipe. I just felt like I needed to clean them off a little bit before I got started with them. And excuse me, I was gonna try and see, oh, so this is the pool chalk paint that I'm gonna be using. And then I also grabbed out my cashew. Now, before I painted these, I was trying to decide whether these little mushrooms were going to be able to stand up on their own in order to make it easier for them to dry. I decided that they really weren't, and that was why I was going to be using these little wood pieces to begin with. And I decided it was going to be beneficial to go ahead and attach them to their bases before I painted them. It was just going to make my life a lot easier. So that was what I did, just hot glue to the base of the little mushrooms, applying them to the little wood slats that I'm using as bases. And now, interesting with these, they each had these little teeny holes, meaning the little wood pieces, so you could string them. It was, I don't know if you can see it there on the right side of the wood slats, teeny little holes pierced in them. I'm not really sure if they're usually meant for garlands or what their normal use is, but this is what I'm using them for. So the cashew is being used as the base for the little stem. It wasn't a lot different than the stem itself, but I just felt like it needed to be painted. So that was what I did. So I went ahead and painted the base. I wasn't too concerned about the bottom because it's all going to get covered up later, but once I had the stems painted, I came in with my pool chalk paint. Now, use whatever color makes you happy, right? I had this vision in my head, so this is the color that I used, and gave them all 2 coats of the pool paint, just checking to make sure that they're all nice and coated. And once that was done and they were relatively dry, and I did use my heat gun here to just help dry them. Just be careful because they are plastic. They will melt. The heat gun gets really hot. So you want to kind of go from a distance and make sure you're not staying in any one spot for any length of time or they will melt. So once I had them dry enough, I grabbed my reindeer moss and I'm going to apply it to the entire base around the little mushroom, just using hot glue. I do recommend using finger protectors here. I got myself a couple of times, even though I'm using my hot glue on the low setting, it is still hot. And it kind of like oozes between the moss, right? So just be mindful of that if you are going to attempt this. Definitely recommend the finger protectors. And I realized quickly that I wasn't going to have enough reindeer moss for what I was trying to do. So that was when I grabbed out my Spanish moss, and I'm going to make sure that I use my reindeer moss equally, well, as close to equally on each of the 3 little mushroom bases. And then I'm going to fill in with the Spanish moss. So I figured I would go ahead and do the reindeer moss first. So just getting that all out in the open, I'm going to go ahead and apply that on all of my bases. And then, as I mentioned, I'll use the Spanish moss, but then it was just too stringy and like, I don't know, there was just too much. So I did end up chopping it into little pieces. I figured, oh, maybe it'll like look like grass. Yeah, it doesn't look like grass. It looks like moss, but that was, yeah. This is my attempt to get it to lay a little bit flatter than it otherwise would have, and that actually worked out quite well. So I'm just going to continue to fill it in using liberal amounts of the hot glue and making sure that I've got the entire base covered because I don't want any of that wood showing. And as I got towards the end, I just filled in any of the little gaps that I could see. So these will sit really nicely on my tiered tray later, and it'll just look like little mossy places with my mushrooms. So now that my blue paint is pretty much completely dry, I went ahead and grabbed my cashew paint again. I'm going to put little dots because I do like the look of that. I just wasn't thrilled with the pink color that they were originally. So I'm going to come in and just add different sized dots all around my little mushroom caps, just to give them a little bit more interest, make them look cute. You don't have to do this. You can do whatever your heart desires. So here they are all done. Let me know what you think. As I mentioned earlier, today is Minnie's Challenge. There is a whole playlist full of inspiration. The link is in my description box. And if you want to join us next time, here's the information. DIY number 2. All right, this is a super quick, super easy DIY. These are do-it-yourself candle kits from the Dollar Tree. I had gotten one in each of these 3 scents. And they scream spring colors to me. So I figured I would use them for today's video and show you what I do with them. Essentially, they each come with a glass candle holder. The wick is hot glued into the base, so you don't even have to worry about that. And then they each have 3 little packets of, I'm going to call it candle sand. So it is wax and it's granular. It's a little bit coarser than what you would think of sand as being, but not that much. So it pours easily and it'll flow around wherever it is that you want it. So once I have them all open, and I'm doing this in real time, whereas normally I speed my projects up about 2.5 times. I'm just pulling some hot glue remnants out of the bottom there. There were some strings. But normally I speed these up just to not bore you to tears, but I left this particular video or segment of video, this craft, in real time so you could see exactly what I was doing. I'm treating this like sand art. If you ever did sand art as a kid, or maybe you've done it with your kids or your grandkids, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm layering this first one, only using about half of each of them as I go. And I am not being, I was going to say consistent. That's true. I'm not being consistent. I'm making them wider and narrower in different places with the different colors. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's not going to be uniform. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm not making these layers uniform. I am piling up some of the color more on certain areas than on others, and letting the other colors fill those gaps just to make it a little bit more unique, so to speak. So once I've got all of those layers on, I'm just going to keep on layering it. And each of these colors represents a different scent. So they have themes, right? So the one I'm working with right now is like magnolia and lilac, and I forget what the other scent was, but just like floral scents. The one is like an ocean breeze and a beach theme and I can't remember if it's the blue. I think it must be the blue and the green. And then the fresh linen is the third one. And it's just got different clean scents. So each of these has a different scent profile to them, depending on what you like. For the second one, I am doing it a little differently. I'm pouring in the entire packet of each one, and I'm trying to have each color take up about 1/3. So you can see I'm kind of trying to force it. It's granular, so it's going to fall down again, but trying my best to keep it to 1/3 of the candle holder there. And then I will do the same with the blue and the white. So the blue and the white I'm opening together because I'm going to pour them in simultaneously, hoping that they will keep each other out of the way and take up, each of their respective thirds. And then I will just kind of shake it a little bit to get it to even out on the top. So this is where I realized I could probably try and show you a little bit what I was doing here. So I'll tilt it a little bit And with the angle of my camera, actually, give me another second. Here we go. With the angle of my camera, I'm not tilting it quite as much as it looks like I am, but it's enabling me to kind of show you a little bit about what I'm doing here. I'm going to show you the other one, and I'll show you the third one once I have it done. And you'll see a bit better once I show the reveal pictures right after this, and then at the very end of the video with it on my tier tray. So for the third one, I am going to do this a different way. I'm still going to pour in each of the colors fully, but this time I am going to make it uniform. So each layer, I'm going to kind of even it out here. I'm going to do the teal color next here and make sure that that's evened out. And then I will do, I was trying to decide what that other color was. It's not really a lime. I'm thinking it might be chartreuse. I think that's the correct color for that kind of yellowy green color off to my right there. So once I've got the teal shaken down, I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm going to call it chartreuse. Correct me in the comments if I'm calling that the wrong color, but I think that's what that is. And just kind of breaking up some of the clumps in there before I pour it out so it's nice and smooth. And just going to make sure that that is all spread out evenly. I'll give that a little bit of a shake. And then I'm going to go into my stash in a second and grab something that I can use to kind of, so I'm just showing you that I've got it layered kind of more uniformly here. But I'm going to go in my stash and grab out something I can use as a tool to kind of drag this, I'm going to call it sand for, you know, the, what is that? Candle wax down the sides of the glass container, right? The candle holder. Just want to try to have it meld the colors a little bit and give it a little bit more interest. Now I did find that it doesn't work quite as well with the wax as it normally does with sand, but I still think it gave it a really cool effect. And I'm going to show you that in just a second as I finish. Literally just gliding that down the side along the glass. Is that neat? I think it's really cool. And that's really it. Like I said, super quick, easy DIY. They smell really pretty and they're gonna look great on my tier tray. But let me know what you think of these. And now it's time for a shout out timeout. Wow, Mary S., these are beautiful. You have been so busy. This is great. And a beautiful rose. These vases are beautiful and cute. Kathy, these are so precious. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And I would love to give you a shout out as well. If you have interest, just send me an email at craftedbycorie@gmail.com and remember to give me your permission to use your photos. DIY number 3. All right, this is stuff that I've had in my stash for a while. My sweet subscriber Rose had sent me several of these butterflies, and I'm going to start with 2 of those, and then you saw the little wood squares from the Dollar Tree. This is my lilac chalk paint by Home Decor, and I'm going to give both butterflies a good coat on all sides. Once I have them pretty much done, I'm helping them dry by setting them down on these little wood squares. You don't have to do that. You can paint one side, let it dry, and then flip it over and paint the other side. I just usually am trying to get things done in a certain time frame, and I don't always have a lot of time. So that was my little hack in trying to keep myself moving. I've got my pool chalk paint here again, and I'm going to grab out just a regular brush. I'm going to be decorating my butterflies, mirroring each butterfly. So what I do on the left side of the butterfly, I'm going to do on the right side of the butterfly, and then I'm going to duplicate on the second butterfly. So you'll see what I'm talking about. Now you can use whatever colors you want, right? Whatever colors make you happy. I wanted to have a base color that was going to say spring to me, but be a little bit of a deeper base color, which I think the lilac served well. And then I wanted bright pastel colors to come in and decorate the butterfly with. So that was the only reason that I selected the colors that I selected is because that's what I had available to me as far as chalk paints go. I probably could have gotten into my acrylic paints and had some other options, but I just tend to default to my chalk paints for whatever reason. So using the pool to just continue to embellish the flowers, my goodness, the butterflies, and again, mirroring it, doing the same thing on the other one. Now, I wasn't getting as crazy as I normally can, where I like count the dots and make sure I had the exact number of dots. I wasn't getting that crazy. I was just making sure that it was similar and had the same kind of look. So if you think about it, even our own bodies, we're not exactly the same on left and right. You know, your right foot tends to be larger than your left foot and things like that. So this is my sunny porch chalk paint by Home Decor that I picked out. It was getting a little thick on me, so I did end up adding water to it. And I'm always scared to do that. I don't know why, because it always ends up working out well for me when I decide I need to add water to something, and then, you know, so here I am. I'm adding the water. I'm just going to use the lid of my paint to serve as my little mixing dish here, and I'll just clean it out before I put the lid on just so I don't make a big mess. But look at how much smoother this went on. It was so much easier once I added the water to it. I don't know why I was hesitating to do that before, because you can see that first one over on the left, it's all kind of globby. I'm going to go over it here, make it a little bit better. But yeah, so much easier, so much smoother now that I got it back to a better consistency, because over time your paint will start to get a little bit thicker. It just naturally dries a little bit over time. So finishing up with my dots, making it uniform. The next color I'm going to come in with is my Vintage Victorian. This is I usually call it like a bubblegum pink. It might be a little bit lighter than a bubblegum, but it's definitely darker than what I think ballet slipper looks like. I don't have ballet slipper, so I couldn't tell you 100%, but just based on what I've seen online from other crafters in the past, I think this is darker than the ballet slipper. And then this color is called Agave. This is by Home Decor. These are all plaid products. So Waverly chalk paint and Home Decor chalk paint, they are both made by Plaid. So just coming in and embellishing it a little bit more with my agave, and I will again mirror it and do the same thing on both butterflies. And this is so relaxing to me. I don't know if you enjoy painting, and this is kind of like along the lines of doodling for me. It's just whatever, anything goes, right? Whatever makes your eye happy. And I'm just filling it in to make sure that it's looking complete to my eye. So once I had all the agave done, I went ahead and grabbed my mineral chalk paint, and this one I'm using for the body. You certainly could use black or like a chocolate brown. I didn't want anything too harsh because I didn't want it to detract from all of these pastel colors. I wanted something a little bit softer, and that was why I went with mineral. But again, you can use whatever color you would like, whatever makes your heart happy. And, you know, the black would probably look really sharp, quite honestly, or maybe like a deeper purple. That could look really pretty too. But whatever color you choose to use, I am sure that it will look absolutely beautiful, no doubt in my mind.
So that's about as far as I got into that project, you guys, before I had to leave town. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed away this week, and so I pretty much dropped what I was doing and grabbed the first flight I could out to Wisconsin. That's where I am now. I'm staying at my husband's uncle's house, and we're taking care of what we need to get done here. So I apologize that I didn't make it through my third project. Normally I try to have at least 3 or 4 for you. I will continue this project when I get back, and it'll be in my next video, so I hope that you will join me then to see what it is that I finished doing with that. But for right now, I can go ahead and share the final reveal. And please don't mind the dog drinking in the background. All right, here we go. Okay, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the projects, please remember to give me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know which one you liked the most. Not a lot to pick from today, but that's okay. And remember that there is a huge playlist full of inspiration. So while I only had a couple of projects, there's a whole playlist full of minis for you to go and check out. The link is in my description box. Please go give them all some love. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.